Hi, second grade students. Today's story is going to be from Knowledge 4, Lesson 5, called Theseus and the Minotaur. Before we begin our read aloud, I'm going to go over our vocabulary words. Our first vocabulary word for today's story is the word labyrinth. Repeat after me. Labyrinth. A labyrinth is a maze. Our second vocabulary word is the word unraveling. Say unraveling. Unraveling means unwinding or coming apart. Our last vocabulary word is the word vaulted. Say vaulted. Vaulted means jumped over something tall and large. Prince Theseus was the son of the ruler of Athens, King Aegeus. Theseus had been raised by his mother in a town far away from Athens and did not know his father in his youth. When he was old enough, in order to meet his father, Theseus journeyed to Athens, had many adventures, and proved himself a fierce warrior. When he finally reached Athens, he was shocked to hear what his father, King Aegeus, was telling him. Next week, King Minos and his ship returned to Athens after another 9 years, King Aegeus said. This will be the most terrible time for our people when they see those black sails. Black sails? Who is this King Minos, and what happens when his ship comes to Athens? Asked Prince Theseus. His father had answered, King Minos, who rules the great island of Crete, has the mightiest navy and army on earth. Several years ago, his son was visiting here in Athens. There was a terrible accident, and the young man never returned to Crete. I sent word to Crete explaining what had happened and how sorry we were, but King Minos would not listen. He and his warriors attacked and conquered Athens. Then Minos announced, You Athenians must share my sorrow. My son was 18 when he went to Athens. Every 9 years I shall send to you a ship with black sails. This ship will take 7 of your Athenian men and 7 Athenian women, each of my son's age, to Crete. There I shall send those Athenians into the labyrinth. It is an enormous maze of twisting tunnels and rooms cut into the hillside near Minos's palace. Minos commissioned the master inventor Daedalus to design it. Once inside, a person becomes hopelessly lost. Worse yet, living in the maze is the Minotaur, a monster that is half bull and half man. The Minotaur knows every inch of the maze and hunts down whoever enters there. Many times King Minos has sent his black-sailed ship to carry away 7 of our young men and women, and none of them ever get out of the labyrinth. And now next week, the black-sailed ship will return. Theseus said, Father, you know my skills as a warrior. I am 18 years old. I will take the place of one of these youths and stop the Minotaur before it can strike again. No, my son, I will not let you risk your life, King Aegeus replied. Father, how can I let this continue when I know I can stop it? I am the person with the best chance against the beast. Finally, Theseus convinced his father and told him that if he was successful, he and the other Athenians would return on King Minos' ship with white sails. A week later, the prince and the other young Athenians boarded King Minos' ship. When they reached the island of Crete, guards led them to King Minos' throne in the room in the palace. There, Minos sneered. It's fitting that the son of the king of Athens should not return to his home, as my son did not return to his. Theseus answered, It is more fitting that the son of the king of Athens should end this horrid business once and for all. Standing at King Minos' side through all of this was his daughter, Princess Ariadne. The princess was amazed to see that Theseus was not afraid. She thought, What an extraordinary man! I must save him. But how? Even I would not be safe from my father's fury if he found out. Princess Ariadne needed help, so she went to see the most brilliant man she knew, the man who also happened to be the creator of the labyrinth, Daedalus. The clever Daedalus told her, It is impossible to sneak a weapon into the maze. The guards would find it and remove it, and eventually they would trace it back to you. However, if the reports of Theseus' bravery are true, he may still have a chance fighting the Minotaur. Then at least we can help him find his way back out of the labyrinth. Here is what you must do. That night, Princess Ariadne went to Theseus' room in her father's palace. She told the young hero, Wind this ball of string around yourself beneath your clothes so the guards will not see it. After you enter the labyrinth, tie one end of the thread to the handle of the gate and unwind the rest as you go through the maze. If you defeat the Minotaur, rewind the thread and it will lead you back to the same route to the gate. And if you succeed, you must take me with you to Athens, for if my father finds that I have helped you. Of course we will take you, Theseus said. Thank you, princess. The next day, after the guards closed the gates of the labyrinth behind the Athenians, Theseus told the others, "Wait here. I'll go to seek the Minotaur. If I fail, you are no worse off, and if I succeed, we will all be able to return safely to Athens." Tying the thread to the door handle, unraveling it with each step, Theseus set off into the labyrinth. Within 5 minutes, he was hopelessly lost. Still he went on, though. He knew that the half-man, half-bull might be waiting around the next turn for him, or might be sneaking up from behind, ready to eat him. Finally, Theseus found himself at the entrance to the great central room of the labyrinth. Resting on the stone floor at the far end was the Minotaur. It had a huge, muscled body of a man, but instead of a man's head, there was the head of a bull with long, sharp horns. Theseus broke off the golden thread and stepped forward. The Minotaur rose to its feet to face him. Then the Minotaur charged. Theseus waited as the huge beast rushed toward him. At the last moment, the young prince stepped to one side and vaulted over the monster's back. Confused at not having caught him on his horns, the Minotaur turned back and charged again. Again, Theseus avoided its horns, leaping to the other side this time. Over and over, Theseus escaped the deadly horns. Each time, Theseus was moving closer and closer to the wall of the room. Finally, as Theseus leaped aside once more, the Minotaur, unable to stop, ran with an explosive shock into the wall. Staggering, it fell to its knees. Theseus leaped upon its back and seized the great horns. He wrestled the Minotaur to the ground and eventually defeated him. Hours later, the other Athenians saw their prince emerging warily and triumphantly from the stone tunnels. Untying the thread that had led him back, he said quietly, "Let's go home." Opening the gate, which was never locked, for no one had ever returned, the Athenians stole out and snuck out quietly. The day had passed, and the city was now shadowed with night. They moved down the harbor and found Princess Ariadne waiting for them in the shadows by the docks. Then they all set sail for Athens, bearing the glad news. Thanks to Theseus, the danger from the Minotaur was finally over. Theseus, however, had forgotten to change the sails from black to white. When his father, King Aegeus, saw the black sails from his perch on a cliff, he fainted and fell forward into the sea. To this day, the sea King Aegeus fell into is called the Aegean Sea.